The PWHL protection lists are out. We know the original six teams and who of the three players they are going to keep heading into the expansion process. So let's start with some headline news. You look at the Boston Fleet, Hillary Knight's name is not there. They're going to keep forward Alina Mueller, goaltender Aaron Frankel, and defender Megan Keller. Cheryl, when you saw this, what was your initial reaction?
Well, listen, Kenz, we heard rumblings that this might happen. She did recently announce her international retirement post the Olympics in Milan. So there was a lot of question marks around her, only because how long is she going to continue to play? And we don't know those conversations that she is having behind the scenes. But this is massive when you look at Hillary Knight not going back to Boston because of what she's been for the United States, the face of the game, and what she's done for the Boston Fleet, not only in terms of, ticket sales and fandom, but also what she's done on the ice. Look at her year. She is up for MVP for a reason. She is a clutch player. She is going to go into the Hockey Hall of Fame. There is no question about it. So not protecting someone like her, it's certainly sending a message to someone like Mueller. You are our future. We are building right now. But I have a question. Where is Hillary Knight going to go? You got to think Seattle's going to be all over her.
Well, and I think it's a perfect fit. Seattle, a newer hockey market. What better player to bring in than someone who has been the face of the game? So it could be a match made in heaven. We will see. Another big news as well. You look at the New York Sirens. How about Alex Carpenter, not part of that protection list? They're going to go ahead and protect Sarah Fillier. They're going to protect Micah Zandy Hart as well. We'll get into that. And of course, defender Ellis Shelton, who we assumed was likely going to be part of that list. Are you surprised to see Micah Zandy Hart being one of those protected players here for New York?
Yeah, I'm very surprised at this protection list. When you think that Alex Carpenter is not being protected, I mean, there's got to be a lot of conversations around, whether it's, she only has 1 year left or the money or something. They're looking at the culture in their room and changing it completely. I don't know, because Alex Carpenter to me is going to be number one on the board in terms of trying to get this athlete. She's outstanding as a center. I think she's the pulse. She's great in the dot. She can do so much for your forward group when scoring is at an absolute premium. This was a massive, massive surprise for me. Also, knowing that in the selection draft, they're going to have the first overall pick. So now all of a sudden they could have chosen, Haley Wynn on defense if they elected not to protect Micah Zandy Hart. But now they've got to be looking for a forward. She is an outstanding player here, Kenz. This one flabbergasted me because Alex Carpenter, when I think about top players in the world, she's one of the first players that comes to mind.
So you have to think too, conversations behind closed doors around that. Does she want a new start? Is it a money thing? Fillier needs a new contract. So you have to think there are certainly factors at play here as to why players like Alex Carpenter and Hillary Knight are not being protected by their original teams. Moving on to Minnesota. Well, we were pretty close here, Cheryl. They're going to go ahead and protect Taylor Heisey, Captain Kendall Coyne Schofield, as well as Lee Steckline, who is a defender you had on your list.
Yeah, there's no surprises for me in this one. I mean, I did think that they possibly could have kept two defenders. And the reason being, I think defenders are at a premium and they've got a brilliant back end. What's going to happen to Sophie Jakes, Claire Thompson? I mean, they're outstanding. They provide offense from the back end. But Lee Steckline, I do think, is the right choice in this manner. Just from a leadership perspective, what she does both on and off the ice, obviously the uptick in her offensive production. But if you look at sort of her shutdown capabilities, I don't think there's really anyone better in the league in terms of that one-on-one play. So I do think that this was a great choice for them. Taylor Heisey, of course, just one of those players who's so dynamic, creates offense. And Kendall Coyne Schofield, I mean, a leader. You know that she's always got energy. And you look at players who backtrack, so come back through and work hard defensively, there's her as well. So I think that this is the right group to be able to hold. But I did think, the back of my mind, there could have been two defenders on that list.
Minnesota, Montreal, so deep defensively. These expansion teams are going to be keeping a close eye on those available players. So let's switch over to our Canadian teams now. The Ottawa Charge. We knew there was going to be a conversation there with goaltending. Do you keep Emirates Mashmeyer or do you keep Gwyneth Phillips? And it looks as though they will go ahead with Gwyneth Phillips. They're also going to protect defender Rania Savalainen and Emily Clark. So not too many surprises here by Ottawa.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I think with Gwyneth Phillips and what she did after the Mashmeyer injury, I think this sort of was, expected, especially coming off the playoff run and how strong she was. Emily Clark, I think that was a no-brainer. Just that 200-foot game, we've talked over and over about the pulse of the team and Emily Clark being a part of it. But then you go to the defense, and I was looking at Ashton Bell. I understand Savalainen. I understand it, and kind of expected to a degree just because she has an extra year on her contract. But I think this kind of was, it could have been one or the other, but they wanted to make sure that they had a foundational piece on the back end. They've elected to go with someone like Savalainen, someone who can shut down the cycle. I think her offensive production, you can see that it's going to elevate because she kind of has it in her wheelhouse, and she can play nasty as well in front of the net, along the wall. She has a physical element to her game. So I do like the pick. I just thought it could have been Ashton Bell.
In a world where Charge fans are going to have to digest likelihood of maybe no Mashmeyer, maybe no Captain Brienne Jenner moving into next season. Time will tell. Meanwhile, from Montreal, we expected this. This was what we all thought was going to happen. And sure enough, Danielle Sauvageau and the Victoire will be keeping and Renee Desbiens, Captain Marie-Philippe Poulet, and Laura Stacey. So you've got some great defenders now that are up for grabs in this expansion process.
Yeah, and when I put my GM hat on yesterday, I said, listen, I expect that they will hold Stacey Poulin and Renee Desbiens. What I was looking at, though, is because they have two of the top defenders in the league, that they would hold one of them. Because defense, as we've said over and over, is at a premium, and they are going to lose those two. And that is my expectation. So I would have expected they would have held one of those defenders and taken a long shot on Stacey. 1 year left on her contract. Perhaps she does leave for a year, but then she's a free agent and can come back to Montreal. They have not done that as we expected, but I think that Kayla Barnes, Aaron Ambrose are going to be two off of the board very, very quickly here. If you're Vancouver or you're Seattle, you are chomping at the bit right now on the blue lines in Minnesota and in Montreal. It's just a matter of what you're looking for. You want offense from the blue line, you're likely going to go to Minnesota. You want more of sort of a two-way game, you're likely going to go to Montreal. But those four defenders, they are going to be off the board.
Well, look, for Victoire fans, if Ambrose and Barnes do go early, which likely so, well, there's a good chance then the Victoire can keep Jen Gardner. So that could be a bright light in that situation. And for Toronto, not too many surprises here either. They're going to keep Captain Blair Turnbull, Renata Fast, and to round things out forward, Daryl Watt. Some solid picking here by this group.
Yeah, and this is what we had, we thought that Troy Ryan would do in Gina Kingsbury, but we also had this sort of on our docket as well. We're trying to think outside the box in terms of different analytics, but I think that they got this right. Hannah Miller, obviously not available to be protected. I think that she's one that will look to go in this window where Seattle and Vancouver are talking to the athletes. But when you look at, the body of work, Renata Fast, I mean, she was the no-brainer to me. And just what she's done, a front runner for the MVP alongside Poulin. And then, of course, you've got, Blair Turnbull, who's the captain of this team, who, when the ice closes up, plays extremely strong. So you know that she does exactly what she does, game in, game out. So there's a consistent measure to her. And then Daryl Watts, I mean, I had her as well as a no-brainer in Toronto, only because of the dynamic offense that she brings to the game and how she keeps play alive in the offensive zone. So no surprises here.
And with Mashmeyer available, Schroeder available, the Scepters could be very well keeping Kristen Campbell as they look ahead to next season. Well, the exclusive signing window does open tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern, and we'll see where some of these PWHL players land with their new expansion teams.